if we can do this and add this to the stage as well, so folks can follow up and actually watch it if they want to. There we go. Let me see if I can find the right stream. One second. Okay. So folks who are in the space, if you're following up, I added a pin to the top. This latest pin from WNB Weave. There's like a live stream as well. Hey, folks that are live on stream, we are testing o3, so we're now in the space with Lentos. Thanks, Lentos, for hosting and holding the space for so long. Since o3 came out, o3-mini came out. Sorry, we've been trying to understand the vibes for it. Been trying to understand the quality of this model, the performance of this model as well. So let's actually shout out the space as well on stream. And basically, during all this time, we're also running some evals using WNB Weave. So I actually want to show the space so that folks can see where to join. But if you're following with us on the space, you waited all this time very patiently for our evals to finally finish running. And we now have some stats. So let's take a look. Should we do, we have some more new people here. Should we do like a recap of everything we covered on o3-mini super quick? Because we're also live. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we should. But also, I think your results that you're about to show is probably enough, actually.
Yeah, okay.
We can talk about the vibes and everything afterwards, yeah.
All right, so let's actually talk about the final results. So first of all, what are we testing? This is a set of 20 questions, very difficult for LLM models questions, on which humans get an average of like 87%, and then models, not even reasoning models, just models get around like 40% correct. Those are from simple-bench.com, from AI Explained YouTube, and I've ran a subset of the public ones on o1 and on o3-mini, the new one, and on o3-mini, the kind of the API that we've got in preview a couple of weeks ago. So here's the results compared to o1. I'm comparing o3-mini on all three reasoning levels to o1. If folks are following along, o3-mini on low reasoning gets 25% correct on this benchmark. 25% of questions correct out of 20. It's not a lot at all. o3-mini medium reasoning effort. For folks who are not necessarily following along, o3-mini released with the ability to crank up its thinking to medium and high. And so by default, I think you get medium to the interface, but via the API, you can decide medium and high. And supposedly high is supposed to be significantly better, and it's weirdly worse for me. So it's exactly the same. So o3-mini medium and o3-mini high both scored 38% on this set of questions. 38%. Very interestingly, o1 low scored higher, scored 55%. So the claims that OpenAI have that o3-mini kind of feels like o1, at least on this benchmark, they do not show up. The very interesting other conclusion that we have here is this model latency one. So let me zoom in a little bit. For model latency, o3-mini high is significantly slower than o1. Significantly slower. This is an average model latency. I made sure that it's an average. o3-mini high thinks for so long, just like an absolutely incredible long time. So we'll go into some examples, but like a few questions take 17 seconds, but a few other questions took 150 seconds, so like 2.5 minutes or so. And you can also see the output in the tokens as well. So one of the questions that I asked, let's actually see what the questions were. Just about some competition, blah, blah, blah. The model thought for 150 seconds and for 30,000 tokens. So the model has thought for 30,000 tokens compared to, I don't know, the same question on o1. Let's look on o1 medium even. the model has
That's
stuck
actually
for
quite
5,000.
significant. That's quite
5,000.
significant. Yeah.
Yeah. So
30,000 tokens in one question.
30,000 tokens to arrive at the wrong answer, I think, is kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
It feels like if you think for this much, might as well be better. The thing that I want to compare though is because we had access to o3-mini in kind of a couple of weeks ago, so they kind of kept training this model. I want to compare because those comparisons are interesting. I think that yeah, this model is a little better. The new one that they released. Let me actually make sure that I'm not what I'm talking about. This model is this model is a little worse than the API that they released before, at least on these questions. It's crazy. I agree with somebody who just posted that we can't really like test for latency right now because everybody's like jumping on board and the servers are overloaded because everybody's like trying them. I also disagree, push back on this a little bit because OpenAI's if we're comparing if we're comparing latency on production models, OpenAI's production models probably get more use continuously than a regular model that they just launched. Just imagine how many people are.
Do you have R1 there?
I do have R1.
Ground myself.
I do have R1. So let's take a look at R1. I have R1 and Gemini Thinking as well. And so let's do the best of the best. Let's compare R1, Gemini Thinking, O1 High, and o3-mini High. Right? So those are like those are the three like best performing models kind of. You can see the following kind of very interesting picture. So Gemini Thinking, at least on this data set, performs the best. Gemini Thinking gets 63% of the questions correct. R1 is the second best, at least as far as I was able to tell. No, sorry, R1 is the third best. So O1 High is the second best with 60%, R1 with 55%, and o3-mini gets 38%. So Gemini Thinking is by far the best one here.
Okay, so O1 actually performed pretty well.
O1 High performs pretty well. O1 High, though, is like the most expensive one out of these by far. By far. O1 High is like by far. Some folks are asking if O1 High is the same as like O1 Pro mode. According to OpenAI folks, no, it's not. So O1 Pro mode, the mode of O1 that you pay like $200 for, apparently does more things than just high reasoning effort. It does. They didn't say what, but they definitely I saw multiple folks answering and saying it's a different model. But O1 High is basically O1 with high reasoning effort, and it gets 60%. DeepSeek is doing a very, very good performance, but DeepSeek was slow, at least because I was testing this on together or something. So just to summarize, we're supposed to get a model of a reasoning level of O1, at least on these questions. They're not conclusive at all. These questions are meant to trick these models. o3-mini is not getting the same performance as O1 at all. We're getting closer. So o3-mini comes close to O1 low. So that is kind of true. Anything else interesting here, Lantas? I think we're good. Like the only thing that I will shout out is that like o3-mini High thinks for a long time for a lot of tokens. There's some questions here like 30,000 tokens. It's ridiculous, and I don't know.
But it doesn't mean too much if it can't get the right answer. Right?
It thinks for 30,000 tokens for 2.5 minutes, and eventually arrives at a false answer or like the wrong answer. Very interesting. It could be a fluke though for this question.
The other thing is that they might just. I have a feeling that they've done this. They've almost rushed. It almost feels rushed out because I mean they were meant to pull it out yesterday. Maybe they delayed because they realized that there was something wrong with it. And now what their probably strategic plan is to upgrade it over the next month or something like this. Just like silently do it.
So a few things there. A few things there. One of them is this model is named in the API o3-mini 2025 0131. So this is a model that they checkpointed today. I don't know if this means that they were supposed to send it yesterday and they didn't, but the checkpoint for this model was for today specifically. That's one thing. The second thing is comparing to DeepSeek just on like, first of all, these questions are not enough. And I've been saying this for a while. You should be evaluating on your own things compared to your own like application. Generic evals mean nothing for your application, for your business, because they don't apply. The thing that's important to know about o3-mini compared to like other models is the context window. So it's by far the highest context window compared to everything else except Gemini. Gemini takes 1 million, I believe, for the thinking model, which is very impressive. o3-mini takes 200,000 tokens in the context window. It's a very big context window that you can do a lot with. You can upload your whole repos into. You can do like a bunch of stuff. Pricing wise, also, this model went down by 63% from the previous o1-mini pricing. So o3-mini is significantly better than o1-mini. That's clear. I actually didn't test o1-mini on these questions, so I don't have it here. But o3-mini is significantly better than o1-mini, at least on all the benchmarks, and it costs the same, and both of them cost 63% less. So that's also something super, super cool. So here's our comparison. And Vibes, that's something else entirely on Vibes.
Hey, Crow. Yeah, if you want to talk about Vibes, it's a good spot to like jump in.
What up? What up? So like, bro, Jazzy just got her new avatar this morning, and she got the Ultra plan the other day.
All right, folks, I'm gonna step out of the space. I'm gonna continue the live stream.
Yeah, I just removed this guy.
Crow is.
Yeah. Don't worry, I removed.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. So I think that this is it. This is like a good summary to stop at, Lentos. At least for me. Like we can continue the discussion, just like talk about this. But I think the highlights for me for this model right now is the speed is very, very high. Like the throughput is very, very high. I think it's very important. The second thing is context window significantly improved on the output. 100,000 tokens on the output, I think is very, very big deal compared to DeepSeek on their API support 8,000 tokens, I believe. So we can take a look at Open Router as well. I know for some folks who have been in this space, we're like repeating some stuff, but there's also like new folks. If we are comparing to DeepSeek, which is what everybody wants us to do, DeepSeek on their API, which is the cheapest API that you can get DeepSeek at right now, besides Azure, which is free, supports 64K context window on the input. So 20%, 25% of the o3-mini, and output of 8K, which is like nothing compared to the 100K. And also, right now, DeepSeek API is degraded as hell. Like it's barely working, at least for me. So I think that this is like a good comparison point.
Yeah. Also, I think probably a good spot to end this space as well. I think the evals that you did shows exactly what we were experiencing in terms of the vibe check, and the vibe check also, like the fact that it's censored. Well, it's safe. I should say, it's safe. And unfortunately, safe is good for business, but
for some businesses,
yeah, for some businesses, but actually, I would say it performs your reasoning and your logic ability, as we've kind of just seen. I don't know which one was safer, o1 or o3. But yeah, I think we kind of got. I got what I wanted to understand from this actually, and also this weights and biases weave is actually a very powerful tool. I didn't realize exactly what it was doing until now. Yeah, so I would actually check that out. I'll probably have to play with that and see, but I just got the account.
Nice. So yeah, for folks who are just like tuning in to the live stream as well, the tool that I'm showing here is our evaluation framework and dashboard called Weights and Biases Weave, which made it very simple. Not very fast, because we did wait for an hour and 32 minutes for the full o1-mini on high, the full result. It took an hour and 32 minutes, which is quite a lot. And the reason why it took so long is because we tested each questions 3 times to get the average out, and it thought for a long time. It thought for almost 500,000 tokens. So I paid for this benchmark 50 cents, I think, right? 500,000 tokens. They're priced at $1.10. So yeah, I paid. We don't show the pricing yet because it just came out. We're gonna update it soon. But like I paid for this benchmark 50 cents. Compared to the O1, let's compare it. O1 I paid $6. Right. So it's a significant difference in price. If we paid for O1 $6 and this one costs 50 cents, but also it gets half the questions incorrect.
Actually, how the fuck is Google giving this for free? How is Google giving out?
Google has a shit ton of TPUs, and
Yeah.
Google is interested in letting you switch to them. Like even look, we're talking about pricier models. There is a better model exists here, folks. It's called Gemini Thinking 0121 or 0122. It has a 1 million context window. It's faster than o3-mini. Like I'm pretty sure it's faster than o3-mini. And still, we're talking about like OpenAI versus DeepSeek, right? Google is competing for mind share, and it's really, really good. And still, people prefer like OpenAI and now DeepSeek. It's kind of like people don't actually like look at Google for some reason, and that's why they're able to give it out for free.
Google failed the vibe check and they failed being cool.
I disagree, dude. I think that like I'll tell you this. So for Thursday the podcast that I have for folks who don't know, I take the summary of the 2 hours of conversation that we have, and then I send it to multiple AIs to give me like a first draft of kind of like my blog post. I then change it because I don't want to send you slop, but I have the first draft. Google Gemini Thinking Flash Experimental 0121, like a horrible name. Yeah, they're failing on naming. Did by far the best first draft for me out of all of the models that I've tested. It included the images inside the actual thing. It sounded like me. I barely had to change it like at least a couple of times. So significantly good vibes from the Gemini Thinking model. Not only that, folks need to remember.
I didn't mean output vibes from the model. I meant like Google total ethos. Like when you think about Google, it's kind of like
That's true. At least in our circles, that's been switching with Logan in there, with the shipping, with the like listening to the users. I also like, I must disclose, I'm like part of the early testers program, so I have some amount of access in there. I'm seeing some incredible stuff. I reported a bug yesterday, and today they fixed it. It's fucking Google.
Yeah.
Lex Friedman has like a whole rant about for a conversation of his with Zelensky, the transcript was wrong on YouTube, and then it took like 2 weeks to change the transcript on that conversation after they already had it uploaded, whatever. And here we are. I reported a bug yesterday, and today they fixed it. So like it's a kind of a different Google playing the game there. But yeah, I agree with you.
Did they change management or something like this?
Sorry?
What changed? What changed? Did they change management or?
I don't know what actually changed, but I know that they fixed it.
I would actually agree with you. I have been seeing a bit of a change. Like we are using Gemini 2 Flash Thinking, Gemini 2 Flash, the other one as well. Like we are using those to power our apps. I mean, that's what I use everywhere. Also because it is just easier to get going. Actually, there's one that I'm using, Open Router Claude moderated. That one's pretty good, but I would say for the most part, the Gemini Thinking is pretty good. Also, I did do a whole load of book translations, and that really worked. You could put through a lot because it has such a big window. You can just chunk it, and then it works well.
The main problem with Gemini right now is you cannot pay for it. It's experimental model. And so because of that, the rate limits are low. So they have the 10 requests per minute, for example, and that's like not necessarily a lot. What's up, Umesh?
Hey guys, how is it going?
Celebrating, trying to decide if it's a celebration day or not really.
Yeah, but Alex, you talking about and praising Google is music to my ears. You know, I'm a Google fan. You know from last year as well, right? Google actually, I know a bit of things because of proximity to DeepMind lab here in London. that they actually reorganized and brought the entire team under DeepMind, right?
Yeah, that's kind of a new thing.
And DeepMind is very, very famous actually internally, the agile team because they reorganized and brought the entire team under. So they had to have that fail fast mentality and also respond to any kind of changes or criticism that comes their way. So that's, I think, one of the reason why the changes that you're seeing, because we had a very similar experience on the experimental model. We wanted to actually integrate it into a production line. So we asked them specifically as to what are the chances that we will be able to use the same pipeline. And I was expecting like 3 to 4 days, and we got response in 6 hours.
Yep.
From them. So that was incredible. Like even for us, it was incredible. We have really good relationship with Google, but this was extraordinary actually. So I think there is a clear line from Sundar Pichai all the way down that this is the future and this has to be the focus area. So and it's quite visible.
Yeah,
actually.
I reported a bug yesterday. On Thursday, as I said, like I'm dumping all my transcripts into Gemini Flash Thinking. It gave me like a 500 error, and I reported this, and it's now fixed. And I'm like, this is Google we're talking about. This is like, hundreds of thousands of developers. And I got to the person that like sent it to the person that fixed it, and then they pushed out a fix, and now it works. I was like, and he told me what the issue was. This is Google. Like, what the hell? Like, you're not used to this like speed from generally big companies, but now somebody like as huge as Google does this. It's quite incredible.
Yeah, I really hope that Anthropic is keeping an eye on this, because with DeepSeek, OpenAI, and Google, Anthropic is going to lose the battle in this entire thing.
I'm actually like, the consumer is really enjoying this because we win no matter what, to be honest. Like,
yes,
there's the funny thing is the way that this is all played out, it's become just like a consumable. And like Alex is saying before, if you're doing a startup, stay agnostic, stay the ability to drop the model and change model quickly, which is really good for us. And I mean, I'm using the Gemini, but I will drop it if something else comes better. Actually, if the function, because function calling, right, and the structured JSON output, when you have that and that's nailed down, you can essentially make sure that your app works no matter what, because you've structured your JSON. You can make sure it works, and you can fail quickly with a bunch of tests and choose the model right. And if it doesn't conform to your structure, then there's no point swapping. And then, but actually, Alex said about the weights and biases. So I think maybe this gets put into more people's pipelines, actually. So you have like the agnostic ability to swap between models, and then you check with weights and biases for your function calling and function output performance.
Yeah, so actually, Lantos, we have a protocol actually. So on all projects, we are supposed to tap 3 models. Even like if client has given a preference that this is the model that you're going ahead with, we still check with three models. So that's a protocol. And obviously our choice is not because Alex is here, weights and biases. So we use that to keep track of how is it progressing and everything. But this is a standard protocol that we have. So even in a production, we on a regular basis, we have a sampling that happens with the other 2 models, just to make sure that our current pipeline is still valid with the other models. So that for 2 reasons. One is the fail-safe scenario. So if, let's say, one API, and we all know what happens with OpenAI specifically in terms of API, if one API goes out of offline, we are able to at least provide a kind of a backup. That's number one. And number 2 is we had a very bad experience. Alex probably remembers that, where we were dealing with a financial company in London, and Microsoft Azure changed some guardrails in their pipeline, and that screwed up our entire entire pipeline basically. Yep. So we fortunately we were covered by a contract and everything. So basically this is one of the largest financial institution based here in Canary Wharf, and they sent their lawyers straight away to Microsoft and said, you need to get this back. And then we got it back, but it was a scare, and that really made us wake up. And since then, this has been the process. So that was the second aspect, that if anything happens with the guardrails or something with one model, we are at least able, while we look into that, we can switch to another model and let it run. And third, of course, third aspect is obviously making sure that you are even distributing the load so that you remain agnostic in case of apocalyptic scenario, so to say.
There's something interesting with this, is that I think we will have it probably actually released this year at some point. Probably should have added this to one of the predictions that you asked at the start of the year, Alex, or in New Year's, is that we will probably have some sort of determinism for models. And I have a friend who just had like a full raise of a full market valuation raise of $20 million to try to solve this problem, and it's essentially locking down the models to conform to like zero knowledge proofs, so that you can essentially, and I think there's a few people that are attempting this, so you can essentially confirm that your input was run on the model that you want. And so you don't end up in that situation where suddenly the ground changes underneath you. And I'm sure all of the developers here have all had that problem where your app is working really well and then suddenly it turns shit. The other thing is that we can all sense it. If you're using Claude and you're still using Sonnet on the actual thing, is that all of my friends have reported that in high load situations, it suddenly gets shit.
Interesting.
And yeah, it's either they're doing routing, or like, because also the other thing is not all compute is the same. If you have a model and it's running on like some thing, you can actually have like you can think about it like, if you have, even in financial models, right, if you have floating point errors that actually blows out quite quickly, it's the same thing, I would say, for models. Like again, there's no exact, I haven't got like a paper I can point to where this is shown, but when you think about it, if you've got like that many floating point operations going, you can assume that there's going to be some error. And that's actually kind of how they're stochastic anyways, right? So there's some startups that are trying to focus on this to lock down the model, the compute layer, and then also the input is run, the settings all run correctly. That's that's a cool space. I think that'll probably drop this year. So I mean, actually, I would love to hear but you probably can't tell us the impact of that model change. It probably is quite expensive.
Lantos, I in one of the AI Tinkerers meeting here in London, I met with somebody from Anthropic, and we were talking about this particular issue of model deterioration in terms of response, specifically in production pipelines. And one of the thing that he was talking about, he was very well aware. Like he was from the training side, but working on the inference pipelines, and and that could also be linked to hardware that you spoke about. Like there could be a floating point error kind of a thing that could be happening in the inference tree, and then the output you will receive will still be quite difficult to distinguish with naked eyes. But if you're using some kind of evals or some kind of an automated pipeline, then you'll be able to detect it very easily over some sample set of few hundred to few thousand responses.
Yeah, the other thing is also if you're doing batching as well. I have a feeling, I haven't like proved it, but I'm pretty sure the batch, and I'm also trying to take advantage of it in some sort of thing where I'm doing like distributed distributed questions essentially. And the batch that you have with it, of course you get like the speed ups that you from doing the batching. But I also think that when you start batching, that you probably get some sort of deterioration. So that might actually be what we're finding is
when you say batching, you mean the batch API that they offer?
No, I mean, as in like, okay, so when you're running them, like the models themselves, you can use batching, so you can essentially like load up 10 inputs and then run them together, and essentially they'll all be like 100 tokens per second or whatever it is, but you can push all of that in, and you can then run them in parallel and get the output. So the individual user finds that they're at like 100 tokens per second, but from your perspective, like the inference perspective, you've got faster than that because you're doing that many more. But that's that. I mean, you can try and play with this through. I think I forgot which engine it is. Is it SGLang or is it VLM? I think it's VLM. They have like batching on there. Oh wait, maybe I shouldn't have said. I think it's out there. Yeah, I think it's public.
There's a benchmark called Ader Polyglot, and that one from Paul Gonthier. Let's get back to O3 for a second. He just posted the benchmark that said the o3-mini scored similarly to O1 at 10x the cost on the Polyglot benchmark, which is both on high reasoning. So compared to like the evals that I ran, which are again questions that are meant to trick LLMs, this Polyglot benchmark is a coding benchmark from Ader, which is like a coding agent, and their o3-mini scored with the high inference scored 60% and O1 high 62%, but it cost o3-mini $18, where O1 high was $168, $186 dollars. So this is a significant like boon to the vibes for coding specifically. Ader Polyglot benchmark is a very good benchmark for specifically like fill in middle code as well. Not to mention it's probably faster. So that's like one additional point that we want to highlight to folks on o3-mini in terms of coding. Not to mention the cursor. Oh, finally, now that I've ran my thing, I can update cursor. Cursor now has o3-mini for free, so folks can actually try it out on their own stuff.
But they still don't have. It's only chat. It's not.
It's not in
agent.
Composer.
Yeah, not in Composer agent. I mean, it's in Composer, but normal mode, not. Yeah, not in agent mode, which is the one. To be honest, if it's not agent mode, I don't. I'm not going to.
That's the one that can't like run commands on demand, right? That's what you.
Yeah, that's the one that I want to delete my root folder.
Maybe that's a good thing. And yeah.
And by the way, just as a PSA, everybody should be using dev containers for this sort of stuff. You should not be running these things on your main computer. Absolutely spend the time to find out what dev containers are. Plus, then you can share it with your team, and then you can all have the same operating when you're running the code.
Yeah, I will say that like for o3-mini being as good as O1, while significantly cheaper, it's also faster. So you can actually use this for code. The problem with O1 was for using it for code is that it was slow. And I think that this is like one main point that like folks try to use O1 Pro, for example. The folks who do have O1 Pro, I can show you for folks who are like watching as well. On there's this app called Prompt Repo. Let me see. I don't know, Lentos, if you use Prompt Repo Prompt, sorry. This is a cool app. You can download this on TestFlight. You can load any repo that you want. For example, this is the Raperator, the one that I have. And then it will just basically give you like this one long ass prompt that you can paste into ChatGPT O1 O1 Pro. It's like a very long prompt with your whole repo, all of the files together concatenated. Kind of similar to what you guys are trying to do with GitHub.gg, Lentos.
Yeah.
And but it's an app like locally as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so it works with like your local changes as well. So the benefit there is that you can run this. O1 can give you a response, and it gives you a response in a very specific XML type thing, and you can paste this back into the app and actually do diffs. So you can, so it's pretty good. And o3-mini, getting back to o3-mini, the reason why folks use this whole thing is because O1 Pro takes a long time to think. o3-mini, if it's getting comparable results, at least on like Aider, Polyglot, etc. for coding, it's really significantly faster. And so I think that this is like one point towards OpenAI's release today. That's like, it's pretty good. All right, folks, I think this concludes what I wanted to show. We've been like on the live stream for like 30 minutes, and we've been here, Lentos, for like at least 2 hours.
I tried to wrap up the space before,
yeah, let's try to wrap up the space, folks.
Came in and dropped some cool stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, if anybody else has cool stuff to drop, but like, go ahead.
I would just say it's been awesome to be able to evaluate those things like super quick. If you guys want the same kind of like evaluation skills, follow Weights and Biases Weave, which is I am the promoter for. I do get paid for this, like so as to be very clear, I work for Weights and Biases, and we.
Can I make a request?
Yes, please.
Can you like do Cerebrus, the R170B model? Can you like do that now? Like,
we have James here. James, come in here.
Would it take you time to do that, or can you just like do it?
I can do it. If my Cerebrus key still works, and if not, we have James here who's like leading product marketing for Cerebrus. He maybe can help out. But yeah, plugging in any type of model and just running this. You want to see it live? I can do it.
Yeah,
live.
I want to see how it works, because this is like what I was saying before is like like if you're not recording this, record it, because if you can demo the Weights and Biases weave and like just make it an Instagram thing, that's going to be crazy. Plus, also the Cerebrus thing should take like not that long.
Yeah, let me get off stream and just like try to do this while we have James here. James leads a product for Cerebrus, which just launched R1. James, we have a question for you while you're here. When are you launching full R1 and not the distilled one? Is that coming soon?
We are working on it, and the full one is much larger.
Yes, it's like 600 plus parameters, right?
671. Yeah, 671. It's a lot of memory.
I remember talking to you on Thursday IDO, and then you said that the benefit of the wafer scale chips, and you can host on one chip like trillion parameter models.
That's for training. For training, So it's like we have two different modes, right? We have training and inference. Training, we do the opposite, which is we store the weights outside the wafer, because it is always, the industry was doing trillion parameter model training for a while, right? So it wasn't feasible to do a bunch of wafers. For inference, we completely invert the execution model. So we do all the weights on wafer and just chain them together into one big wafer. So we did 70B because we already had 70B working. That made sense. But 671 MOE is pretty challenging. We have MOE working. We actually have a very interesting MOE announcement next week, kind of like a scoop for you guys.
Ooh, nice.
But 671 MOE will take some work, and we are looking through it right now. But yeah, I know everyone wants the full model, but it's a big hunking model.
It's a big model, but also like we want to know the difference between the quantized and the main one. So this is like the main thing that I'm very interested in. Meanwhile, it looks like my API key does work, so I'm gonna actually try to integrate Cerebrus's like insanely fast R1 into my Evals suite, James, while you're here with us.
Yeah. Like actually, it's such an amazing product. My jaw actually dropped when Alex was like, dude, try R1 on Cerebrus. I was like, holy.
Do you guys support OpenAI SDK, or do I need like a Cerebrus SDK? It looks like I need a Cerebrus SDK. I'm going to build this up super quick.
It should be OpenAI format.
Oh, OpenAI also works. Okay, cool. But you have your own like Cerebrus like Python thingy, so I can probably just do that to show how this works. Yeah, you do have OpenAI compatibility. That's great.
Awesome. James, actually, can I ask, are you in a position or know people that could connect us to doing that? Because like Nistan and I are running something where we want to like have super fast interactions with GitHub repos. Like we've got a load of traffic, but Cerebrus would actually be like perfect for it. We were going to use Grok and some things like this, also some of our custom models, but I mean, Nistan has trained fine-tuned some coin models and things like that, but heck, it would be awesome to have like 1,000 tokens per second on a repo.
Does this need R1, or are you guys good with Llama 3.3?
We're currently using Gemini 2 thinking and Flash, and that's been pretty good. But like if there's the R1, your full one's coming out, the R1 full probably be good to use that. But we've actually got a load of things in our pipeline that we're building out and arranging actually, but I can't fully go into and plus bore people with that. But essentially we want like fast agents, fast communications. Like I did a demo with like a chat with like I think it was like 100 agents just spamming at each other. Yeah. So we're trying to go in that direction. We've also got like some secure clients that we will need, like banks. And we did like a COBOL model train that worked really well. I think it was Nistan did this because like of course the banks are using COBOL and Fortran and all of that stuff. So yeah, but that thing needs to be on-prem probably.
Hey Lantos, can I piggyback on you?
Yeah, awesome. James, everybody jump on James.
I was going to actually, yeah, because we have been trying Cerebrus for a while, and wanted to know, like, James, do you have any plans for launching the API, or is there a way to connect with you? I mean, we would like to go on Llama 3.3, the 70 billion which you have. So you do have the tier model pricing, but it's not open yet, right?
Yes. So basically, for the capacity we have right now, we've allocated to a few large customers, and we're trying to get everyone, the kind of like developer audience, on board as well. Let me DM you. We are managing this list. Llama 3.3 should be easier because most of the demand is there. R1, we just literally just put that up yesterday.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit trickier.
Yeah, but, because some of the use cases we have, it could be really great, and you will also get a kind of a European Maven for Cerebrus, because I'm based in London, and awesome. I've been talking about Cerebrus to my clients as well, and for our internal thing as well. It's just that we never got around to get access. So okay. I just sent you a DM straight away. So
yeah,
awesome.
Send you a message.
I just DM'd you with the person to contact who's managing our whole dev relations right now for onboarding. Yeah. So give him a ping. Isaac is his name.
Yeah,
I'll do the same for you, Umesh.
Meanwhile, we did, while you guys are trying to get access to Cerebrus, I have my API key. It doesn't look like I have access to DeepSeek R1 still. It says it doesn't exist, or you don't have access to it. Could it not
I think
be
R1 is on. I think 3.3 is on, but R1 right now I think is being reserved. So let me follow up with you on that.
Okay, cool. I wanted to show live on stream how easy it is to implement a new evaluation into Weave, which is what Lentos asked me for.
This is actually awesome, yeah.
But basically, it's done. So I just like copy pasted, and we just need like services acceptance that I can run this model because it's restricted. But otherwise, this like it took a second. So very easy to implement the evals. All right, folks, I gotta drop. This is great to hang out with all of you and talk about O3 models, etc. If you don't know who I am, I do a weekly AI podcast called Thursday every Thursday. We did one yesterday. We just expected o3-mini to come out during that, but now we have like a very direct version as well. I also work as a AI evangelist at Weights and Biases, and Weave is the product that we just talked about, which allows you to do evaluation. So if you do want to swap in Cerebrus after you get access to Cerebrus on top of your o3-mini, for example, you want to know how it performs in production. The way you know is running evals, and the way to run evals is with Weights and Biases Weave. So if you haven't tried it out or heard about this, like Lentos just didn't, you can see me implementing this live in real time. But also, if you're here on Spaces with us, this is the Weights and Biases Weave is the square profile pic here. That's also on stage that you can go and follow for more content and ask us questions if something doesn't work.
I do actually have a question, but I know you said you had to leave.
Last question. All right, last question. Go ahead. Let's
go. We are like running secure environments and secure agents and things like this because like we're going to directly target banks, and we probably need like benchmarking things. I mean, this is probably for biz ops guys. Is like we probably will need to be able to run that on like hardware at the banks. Is that like something that you guys are doing, or is it all just on your stuff?
So Weave right now supports SaaS, which is like you can sign up and get a SaaS offering, and also supports private cloud. It does not support hardware of the banks, but it supports private cloud. So like we would be able to deploy within the cloud, like one of the three, kind of like Weights and Biases as well.
because we're doing dual registration for America for the Petricat, and then also a Swiss company to get like European and Swiss banks. But dude, this is actually crazy. This space has dropped so much alpha.
Yeah.
I mean, like M3-mini aside, like I'm so much more interested in Cerebrus's speed. This is the way cooler, I think, and also weights and biases benchmarking, because now it makes sense to why you would want to actually do that.
Yep. So everybody should try it, and everybody should definitely check out the insane speed with which Cerebrus runs the R1.
Yeah.
I was always talking about this, James. You should have popped into the chat that like test time compute cannot be better for companies like Cerebrus. It's just incredible because like they get better the more time they have to think, and this is like a direct improvement where you get like insane speeds in thinking. You get just better results way faster. So this is great. I keep looking forward for the bigger model, and also it'd be cool if I get access to actual R1 via API to test it out, James. So I'll follow up with you directly.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
Alex.
Thank you, folks. It's been great hanging out with you, and tune in to Thursday next time. Bye.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks. Awesome.
All right, so now we're off the stream, but also here for everybody who's watching me on video. I was like a kind of a mutual stream, my stream, and then that space with folks. But now that we're off the stream, it looks like the space is gonna get off. If you're interested, I'll just follow up on the evaluations that I did. I built an evaluation live for folks who are just like watching the stream. It just didn't work because I don't have access to the Cerebrus model, but basically any other model that they have, I can plug in here and basically run the eval. This is it. This is the code to run the eval. The data set that I have has 20 questions from Simple Bench. Actually not showing anything, sorry. Give me a second. For folks who are still watching, there we go. Right, so I'll zoom in a little bit. So basically, I did the additional eval for Cerebrus, which is like cloning this. That's all you need. You need the function that's called predict. It's basically just open the API call and then response with the JSON response. That's it. And in order to run the eval, you just need these 3 lines. You need evaluation, the data set that you run, every little input on this data set is the question and the answer. Num trials is 3. So basically I'm running 3 answers per question, right? So to average them out, sometimes those models are not deterministic and you don't get the same exact response on each one. And then the scorer. Scorer in this case is just the accuracy scorer. I can show you how this function looks like. It's very, very simple. It just compares the response of, where's my accuracy score scrolled up? Accuracy score, give me 1 second, please. Basically, it compares there it is. That's all it does. Expected is the human answer that we know for a fact that this is the true answer, and the model output from the correct answer. That's it. That's all you need to run evals with Weave. What you get in response is something like this. So this is my, let's see, O3 tests. I think it's this one. Give me a sec. I'll find the exact link to the thing. So I have it open and then I lost it. 1b.ai/Thursday/O3 tests. I believe it's this one. Yes. So what you get in response is something like this. So a comparison between evaluations that you can compare and see. No, this is the wrong view. Apologies. A comparison between evaluations. You can compare o3-mini to o1 high, for example, and then to Cerebrus as well that failed. And you can see in a comparison, you can see that Cerebrus scored 0 because it just all failed. But you get dark mode, light mode. You get all the questions that we have here, and then all the responses you can like eyeball. This is the importance of doing the 3 runs. You can see that for O3 reasoning, 1 of the questions were correct and 2 were incorrect. And so we can actually scroll through and see how many times this actually happens. Not often, but it's very funny. You can see like in this case, 1 of the trials correct and the other ones are incorrect. So you can see like this one, the B is the right answer and C is the wrong answer. Anyway, you get this with like those 3 lines of code. Love that. I'm not showing you the example. Nobody's complaining. Again, this is the dashboard that I'm talking about. You get this with 3 lines of code. So this is the comparison between the different evals, O3 medium, So somebody's complaining that I'm in light mode in my terminal, or at least on Weave you can like switch between light mode and dark mode like this. But yeah, I prefer light mode sometimes. Yes. So here's basically the dashboard that you get. I just for some reason didn't show it before, and you can see Cerebrus is at 0 because it didn't actually work. This was the quick eval comparison for weights and biases Weave. The way to get it is 1b.me/weave. This is the docs, and I'll show you super quick how that looks like. 1b.me/weave. This is it. Just go to the docs, and you basically, this is all you need to run evals. Those 3 lines as well. I have a little bit more because I have like multiple models that I run, but basically this is all you need. All right, folks, this has been me. My name is Alex Volkov. If you followed any of this, like I said, and you are interested in this type of stuff, not to this depth, I do a weekly stream, weekly space, weekly podcast recording live that's called Thursday. And if you are interested in this type of stuff, feel free to follow every Thursday. Feel free to follow me on X and everywhere else, and also work with Weights and Biases. At Weights and Biases, as I promote Weave as the product. So if you have any questions about this, feel free to DM me as well. Cheers, everyone. It's been a great space. For those of you who celebrate OpenAI release days, today definitely feels like a celebration. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye. I need to